going on, Jerome's? It is a beautiful Thursday. It is Thirsty Thursday. We get to watch the Lions lose against Patrick Mahomes and a bunch of XFL guys this evening. It's going to be great. We got some loose, very, very loose Vikings news stories, and also from some stories from around the National Football League. So Vikings news dump. Flush. First up is the Vikings will be wearing the throwbacks, an homage to the olden days, gray face masks and yellow piping around larger font numbers. It's fantastic. I love it. I'm going to get me one of them jerseys, but I want to get the stitch numbers, but I know that the new Nike ones don't have stitch numbers. Doesn't matter. But also the Vikings will be incorporating the Bud Grant patch week 1, and then they'll be wearing a Bud Grant decal on the back of their helmets all season to honor the late great amazing Bud Grant. And I got to get me one of those hats. Like Kevin O'Connell, his hat game, no cap, pun intended, is batting like 1,000. It's fantastic, man. So that looks really good. The Bud Signature Edition. Man, I can't wait. Where, the Vikings don't have a very large, varied uniform history, but the gray face mask just works, man. It just works. I love it. Something that so there's an old saying that says, if something's not broke, break it. So the Vikings and La Gritty and Jefferson have been hyping up this video series of Gritty 2.0, like a new Gritty coming out, and they released it yesterday, and so I don't think that it's overly serious. I don't know if Jefferson's going to do any of these dances, but so it's a video clip, and they had different variations on the Gritty. One of them was kind of good. They called it the Monopoly, because rolling dice, because the team can't say that they're playing craps. But it reminds me of when they introduced New Coke. Right, and then everyone complained about it. They thought it tasted like Pepsi, and then they had to bring back Coca-Cola Classic. Like, the Gritty is perfect as is, and I understand you want to expand it. La Gritty can market it more, but the Gritty is perfect as is. So, classic Coke. Classic Coca-Cola. That's right. Something that's not classic is Nick Bosa got himself paid. So he is the newly minted highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. A 5-year, $170 million deal with $122.5 million guaranteed, which is blows the guarantees out of the water. Now, why is this important? It's important because edge rushers and some receivers have gotten to the point where they're the second tier of paid positions, premium positions, left tackle in there as well, cornerback in there as well, behind quarterback, right? And with Bosa's deal and the guarantees, like it does impact Justin Jefferson. So I say just give Jefferson, the same deal plus $1 on the total and the guarantee. Although Jefferson will probably sign a 4-year extension since he's under control for 2 more seasons at this point, and the Vikings will go from there. But that's a massive, massive deal for a very solid player. And whatever. Also, it sets the bar for Danielle Hunter, after Danielle leads the league in sacks this year. I love it. Something I also love is the involvement of C.J. Ham, the pride of Duluth, the pride of Augustana. Andrew Kramer, Star Tribune, go. Coaches have discussed using fullback C.J. Ham as a third down option and pass protector. The veteran said, "It's fun when I get those opportunities. Everybody says I'm a fullback, which I am, but I was a ball carrier for longer. It is nice to break those moves back out." And like I said, like C.J. Ham, NSIC represent. He was a bad dude for the Augustana Vikings, ironically. But I mean, C.J. Ham. Yes, he added weight and muscle to become that fullback. Very selfless. He was a lead blocker for a number of years for Dalvin Cook. Also, going back to the last throws of the Adrian Peterson era. But CJ is an underrated receiver. CJ is very adept at pass blocking, and even though Madison and Chandler are solid pass blockers and receivers as well, I mean, having him in the mix does make sense. Plus, if the Vikings want to play a little bit heavier, I mean, have all 3 tight ends out on the field and C.J. Ham, dotting the I, or as a single back, just carrying the rock. Let's get some. I know that C.J. very involved in special teams, and he's special teams captain, but get him more involved in the offense. Let's go, man. Let's go. Also, let's go, and is Kramer again. Wide receiver Jalen Naylor is recovering from the calf injury that sidelined him for 3 weeks and could be the number 4 option as someone who plays split end, slot, and flanker. So XZF. Coming off OTAs, feeling really good. It sent me back a little bit, and I'm back in rhythm and ready to roll. Now, yeah, people forget because OTAs was a long time ago, but when Jefferson was away from voluntary OTAs, as well as Addison was dealing with that minor injury, it was KJ and Naylor as the first team wide receivers, and Jalen Naylor lit things on fire, man. OTAs, mandatory minicamp, the first day of training camp before he had that calf injury, he was looking really damn good. And the second year, former 6th-round pick, the pride of Michigan State, former resident of Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman represent. He's got that speed. He's got that deep threat ability, and Kevin O'Connell has raved about his versatility. He can play all three receiver spots, and even though the Vikings are extremely deep at receiver with JJ, KJ, and Addison, I do think that Jalen Naylor could and should find his way and make a mark, because even though the Vikings have Brandon Powell, I think that Naylor's clearly the wide receiver 4 at this stage. Also, guy looking to make his mark. So Kramer again. Undrafted cornerback Naji Thompson said he expects to be active Sunday and have an immediate role on special teams. I've dreamed of this moment for years, he said. And I think that he absolutely will. Where he was on the 53-man roster, I think he'll be active on game day. I think that he'll play all the special teams that he wants. And I think that he will become this team's Matthew Slater. I think he will become this team's Chris Walsh. I think that he will be a do-it-all, especially punt gunner, especially kickoff coverage, a guy that just makes a couple plays a game that you're just like, oh, damn, let's go. Where again, I think that a college special teams specialist finding his way and his path to the league, I think that this will be happening more and more. I think that Naji Thompson is truly blazing a trail right here. Speaking of blazing, so actually I don't know if it was blazing, but Ari Mayer of My Sports Update. The NFL has suspended Saints 4th-round rookie quarterback Jake Hayner for the first 6 games of the regular season because of performance-enhancing drugs. So he popped hot for a PED test, and yeah, it's fine. So the pride of Fresno State, who I liked, but sort of undersized, and that certainly does show up. But what PEDs is he on? Like, so it's not creatine, which creatine's legal, but it's not any of the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, steroids or anything like that. So I want to know, imagine this quarterback with this photo shoot if he didn't take PEDs. Like, would he have been drafted at all? I don't really know, man. Who knows? But, anyways, it's Derek Carr's show for now. But after they bench Derek Carr's ass, maybe Hayner comes back off of his suspension and starts Game 7. Who knows? Someone who should be under center. Caleb Williams right now is the presumptive 1-1 in the 2024 NFL draft, although it's going to be a very deep quarterback draft. They're reporting Caleb Williams' dad says that he can return to USC if team drafting first isn't in a good situation via GQ magazine. Now, first off, why is GQ interviewing his dads? Like, is this Chris Thomason? Is Chris Thomason at GQ? They already quit the Denver Broncos beat, but it doesn't matter. But so this is a little bit of the NIL money coming in, where, I mean, it does give the player more leverage, because some players in college right now, Travis Hunter being one of them, make more with the name, image, likeness money in college football than some of the NFL players on the rookie contracts, which is amazing, and it does potentially incentivize players for sticking around in college, where they're potentially going to make more money. Now, yes, you could say, hey, Caleb Williams, the sooner you get in the league, the sooner that clock starts on you hitting a long-term extension, 3 years of service, then all of a sudden you get paid, like Jumpin' Joe Burrow, like Herbert, etc. But also, I mean, if the team ends up at 1 and is Arizona, and they're poop, and they're not a good organization, which has been the talk all off season, especially since that NFLPA report came out, but it's possible that he could pull a John Elway, because remember back in the day, 1983, Elway coming out of Stanford, the Baltimore Colts had number 1, and basically Elway just like, hey, if you draft me, I'm not playing. Eventually the Colts dealt him to the Broncos. But I think this could potentially be a spot where whichever team ends up at 1, and if Caleb Williams is going to be the first overall pick and he doesn't want to go there, he could return to USC. I think this is a legitimate leverage in this spot, and I respect him for using it. And also, this isn't like the bluff where quarterbacks in previous years like, hey, I'll just play minor league baseball. All right, so I'll make like $5 an hour as opposed to playing in the NFL. Ain't gonna happen, right? But if he could find comparable money at USC, which I mean, the alumni and donors have very deep pockets to keep him with the men of Troy. I think that it's possible. Also, here's the thing too. Like, Arizona is probably going to end up with number 1. Arizona's former head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who's currently the quarterbacks coach at USC. You know that Cliff is telling stories about Arizona, whether it be facilities, whether it be management, whether it be having players have to pay for their own dinners at the facility, all that stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. But it could be a spot too where maybe he's just waiting for a hero to rise up and trade up from 32 all the way up to 1, reunited with Jordan Addison and Mekhi Blackman. It'd just be beautiful, man. Just be beautiful. Just add Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson long term. It'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. Speaking of Addison, so it seems like there has been very little hype around Addison, which it's kind of crazy because in training camp, there's a video seemingly every day of Quentin Johnston making a one-handed grab. Zay Flowers, all these reports. Oh, he's the cleanest route runner we've ever seen. Jackson Smith-Njigba with the Seahawks before he got hurt. He had all the highlights too. So, Rashee Rice with the Chiefs. I was like, so it seems like there's a lot of hype around every single drafted wide receiver except for Jordan Addison. But just wait until after week 1 when he puts on a show against the Buccaneers secondary when they're all doubling and tripling Justin Jefferson and Addison gets loose against cornerback 2s and 3s. Just wait. Just wait. But also in that Buccaneers defensive backfield on Sunday will be Antoine Winfield Jr. Yes, former Gopher, former Eden Prairie stud. And yeah, I mean, could the Vikings have drafted him in 2020? Sure. Yes, but didn't work out. But Vikings fans page tweeted this out. Quote, I grew up a Vikings fan watching my dad play there. It's going to be special going up to Minnesota, end quote. And of course, his pops, Antoine Winfield Sr., one of the greatest Vikings, pound for pound, my favorite Viking of all time. Just absolutely got it done. Also, played 30-60 at Canterbury back when they had the clay chips. Always had Tupper playing the big game there at the time before betting limits got raised. And it kind of sucks. Where Winfield, super talented, great watching him as a Gopher. Played his high school ball here as well. Partly. I think he graduated from Texas. Doesn't matter. But it's going to be interesting with that reunion. Winfield is obviously an alpha. He's obviously one of the better young safeties in the game. But also, I hope that Kirk Cousins and company lights his ass up. Hawkinson boxes him out and puts up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And also, I hope Kirk puts up 404. That's all. That's all, man. But I wish him luck the rest of the way, just not on Sunday. But that's it. That is the Vikings news dump for Thursday. What day is it? September 7th? Sure, 2023. Hopefully the Jefferson extension gets done today. I'm headed to an undisclosed location, so a bajillion % it gets done today. There you go. But let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, as ever, Skull Production Value.